Yo, what's up guys? Coach Nate, owner at Steel Strength Training. Today, in this video, I'm going to be telling you why the idea of there being a special muscle building rep range, it's complete BS. That's right, it's not true. And yet, despite that, we actually have most of our clients train within that, muscle building rep range. So why is that? I'm going to break that down for you guys. But first, why you should listen to me. Like I said, I'm the owner at Steel Strength Training, and across our 3 locations, we've helped close to 1,000 everyday men and women change their body health and lifestyle with strength training, nutrition, outside the gym activity plans, and lots of coaching and accountability. So let's dive into today's topic. Is there such thing as a muscle building rep range? The short answer is no, not really, or at least that range is much larger than you think. So typically what you hear, I've drawn out my beautiful chart here, ranging from, let's say 1 to whatever, infinite number of reps, 40, 50 reps. Surely nobody's doing more than that, right? So what often gets touted as like the ideal muscle building rep range, there's some difference of opinion, but it's all essentially the same. 6 to 12 reps, 5 to 10, 8 to 12, 8 to 15. You kind of hear that range, anywhere from like 6 to 15 reps as like the muscle building rep range. And then people tell you if you want to build strength, then you train below that. You train 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 reps, and that's going to build strength. Well, it's BS, and here's why. What we have discovered, I say we like I've had anything to do with this, but what science has discovered recently is that as long as you're within a 5 to 30 rep range, that is a huge span, by the way. 5 reps to 30 reps, basically anywhere in that range, as long as you are training close to failure, meaning true mechanical failure being the place where you're doing that, doing bench press or whatever, and you literally can't move the bar anymore. That's failure. As long as you're 2 to 3 reps or less shy of failure, the difference in how much muscle you will build between doing a set of 5 reps, 10 reps, 15, 30, there is zero difference. There's zero difference between 5 and 30 reps or anywhere in between, as long as that set is taken close to failure, which is why I'm not super obsessed over how many reps necessarily we're doing or our clients are doing per set. I'm more interested in how many hard sets being sets taken close to failure, are we doing per week. And as long as we're doing sufficient volume being amount of work, and that's measured in number of hard sets taken close to failure, as long as we're doing sufficient volume to build muscle, I'm not super hung up on whether we're doing 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 reps. So that's why I say there is actually no such thing as a muscle building rep range. So if you do 5 sets of 5, or 5 sets of 10, or 5 sets of 15, or if you're insane, 5 sets of 30 reps, as long as those are taken close to failure, then you're going to build muscle. And the results are pretty much going to be the same. And in terms of strength gains, when it comes to strength, I tell people train in the rep range you want to get strong at. For your everyday man or woman, it doesn't really matter. Like, you just want to build some muscle and strength, and it doesn't really matter if you're building that with 5, 10, 15 reps, etc. But if you're training specifically for strength, like I want to get really freaking strong in my 1 rep max on squat, then yeah, you probably want to spend a fair amount of time on the lower end of the rep range. Now, despite there not being a difference between 5 and 30 reps and anywhere in between, we still have our clients train primarily 70 to 80% of their sets within a 5 to 12, 6 to 12 rep range. So why would we do that? Because Nate, you just got done saying that there's no such thing as a hypertrophy, a muscle building rep range, like there's no advantage to staying in that range over the others. Well, it's true that there is no actual advantage in terms of the results that you get, but there is a practical advantage from staying in that rep range, and here's why. On lower ends, if all you did were sets of 5, the problem is that the loads needed to do a hard set of 5 reps, that being close to failure, is pretty freaking heavy. And when you first start, no big deal. I actually have beginners train more on the lower end of the rep range so that they can really learn and master the movements, and they're not doing 10, 20 reps and getting fatigued, letting their form get sloppy. So I actually do like beginners to spend more time down here, but the more advanced you are, the stronger you are. And the stronger you are, like, we still want to do some sets on the lower end, so lower end of reps, so you're handling some heavy loads. But if all your sets are there, you're handling heavy loads all the time, more than likely, your joints are going to end up being very beat up. On the flip side, if you're over here doing lots and lots of reps with a very light weight, well, you're not gonna run into the issue of the joints getting banged up because the weight is so light, but you run into a couple problems here. Number one, most people, when they start doing 15, 20, 30 reps, they quit their set well before they get to failure because they're just fatigued. Like they're burning, the muscles are burning, especially on leg work, they're feeling nauseous. Like that's a lot of reps. And so while we do have people do some reps up here occasionally, especially for some light arm work at the end of the day, things like that, we'll have them do higher reps. But generally speaking, you don't want to be doing 5 sets of 20 squats. You're going to be puking all day long. You gotta really not like yourself if you want to do that, okay? Or you're just a little cuckoo, you know what I'm saying? So most people on high rep sets are just they're gonna quit due to the fatigue, the muscle burn, things like that. They're gonna quit before they actually get to failure. Thus, they're not gonna reap the full benefit of the set. Or if they're crazy enough to train like that, close to failure on a bunch of sets, like it's just really, really intense training when you could get the same result training in the 6 to 12 rep range. And so that's why we have most of our clients spend time in the 6 to 12 rep range, because the loads are heavy enough that you can reach failure in a moderate amount of time. Yeah, the muscles are fatigued, you got a nice pump, maybe they're burning a little bit, but they're not like super in pain, super lit up, you're nauseous, you're not running into that with that 6 to 12 rep range, but the weights are also light enough in contrast with something that's 4 or 5 reps, 3 reps. The loads are light enough, they're moderately heavy, so they're light enough that your joints don't get quite as banged up. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, bodybuilders, they've been saying for decades that, if you want to build muscle, you got to be in the 8 to 12, 8 to 15. Again, it varies person to person by the source, but generally in that 6 to 15 on the broad end rep range to build muscle. It's not actually advantageous in reality from a result standpoint, but practically it is. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. So I do think, I'll end on this, I do think there's advantage to training across the spectrum. So I do think you should spend some time with some really heavy loads and some lower reps, very heavy loads, lower reps. I think it's good to spend some time with that to really build your top end maximal strength. I also think it's good to vary the stimulus, train with some really high reps, really burn the muscle, especially, gosh, that sounds like such bro science or a magazine term. Burn, whatever. It's a different kind of stimulus. It's all the same thing, guys. All you can do is build muscle, lose muscle, gain fat, lose fat. So there's no burning the muscle isn't actually like a real thing. But anyway, you get what I'm saying. You really get a nice pump. You mix it up. It's fun occasionally, maybe on arm work. We probably don't want to be doing a bunch of leg work over here. So look, spend 10 to 20% of your workouts on the heavier end with lower reps and the lighter end with higher reps, but 80%, the meat and potatoes of your workout should be spent in that. You can figure out what's best for you. I like 6 to 12, but 6 to 12, 8 to 12, 8 to 15 rep range. And I hope that this has answered and cut through some of the noise and the BS out there. The idea, is there a special muscle building rep range? Well, not really, or at least that range is much larger than you think, but the bodybuilders throughout the years were onto something by saying you should spend most of your time in this middle rep range, because practically it is easiest on the body and the easiest way to accumulate lots of volume so you can build muscle without banging up your joints or puking all the time in your workouts.